Hi, welcome to the weekly Curology Q&A on Facebook Live. I'm Laura Garrison. I was here with you guys last week, and I have Emily Gruber, another nurse practitioner with us, and we're going to be taking some of your questions today. So I will get right to it and start off with our first question from Lorena Diaz. How can you get rid of acne scars? And this is a really great question, and we get this a lot from our acne patients at Curology, is how do they get rid of their acne scars? So once you're able to clear your acne, at times you're left with either hyperpigmentation, which is like a brown spot, redness, or a scar that is depressed or goes into the skin. So it's important to differentiate between those three things. Hyperpigmentation, I believe, was discussed in a prior Facebook Live feed, but I'll go over it a little bit. These hyperpigmentation dark spots and red spots will go away with time. Time and patience and continued use of sunscreen, your Curology medication or other acne medications. Some over-the-counter ingredients. I talked a little bit about vitamin C last week. I love vitamin C serum, like so much. So I would recommend adding that. And alpha hydroxy acids too, such as glycolic acid or lactic acid, can definitely help. They help disperse the melanin within the dermis, so that can help with hyperpigmentation. Red spots are a little trickier, so I'm going to pull out the handy dandy skin model. And you can see here, where the capillaries are. And think about what makes your skin red. So when you have a red spot left over from pimples or from any kind of trauma to the skin, it's from the capillaries. And you can see that they sit below the surface of the skin. So no topical treatment that you put on your skin is going to help that. That's going to just go away with time as your skin heals. So red spots are a little trickier as well. Now, true acne scars or depressed scarring, which are either ice pick scars, like little holes in the face, or little divots, those, unfortunately, topical treatments don't do a whole heck of a lot to help those. So tretinoin or Retin-A, we also use that in Curology medications. That can help somewhat smooth the surface of the skin because of its collagen stimulating effect. And but that doesn't happen overnight. That's continued use of tretinoin on a daily basis. And once your acne is under good control, you can also consult a cosmetic dermatologist for procedures like lasers or microdermabrasion, fillers, and whatever's appropriate for your skin type to help with those scars. So scarring is kind of a tough thing, especially if you have a few different kinds of scars to deal with. So definitely check with an in-person dermatologist, or you can message Curology and we can give you some guidance too.
Cool. Let's get started on another question. This question's from Sarah. Sarah's asking, I have those little bumps or pimples all over my forehead and some on my cheeks, and I want to know what to do because I've had them for so long and they won't go away. Also, I have them on my back and on my chest. And we got a couple questions like this. Another question was from Noah, and Noah was talking about being on a road trip in Texas where it was really hot and sweaty and humid. And Noah noticed that she also developed these little bumps and she's having a really hard time getting rid of them. So let's talk a little bit more about what those little bumps could be and what we can do about them.
Yep.
So although we can't see pictures from Sarah and Noah right now, we'll give you some general information. So at times when there are smaller and more uniform acne bumps, so bumps that look similar to one another, oftentimes it occurs on the forehead, on the hairline, on the jawline, and on the chest and the back. Those bumps can be made worse by pityrosporum, which is a type of fungus.
Fungus.
Fungus sounds not so good.
I don't know about that.
So we actually probably have this pityrosporum fungus on us right now because it's present normally on more than 90% of individuals at any time. So it does cause a problem when this fungus gets overgrown, and that can cause breakouts. So what can we do about this? So since it's a fungus, we can't just throw antibiotics on it because antibiotics fight bacteria. So we need something that is antifungal. So Curology does have 2 ingredients in our medications that we use that can help with this, and that is azelaic acid and zinc pyrithione. So those are helpful. And another product we recommend to a lot of patients is a zinc soap bar. So we probably talked about it at some point.
I think Fong mentioned it last week, for the body acne.
Yeah, and Noble has a 2% zinc soap bar that we find works really well. for patients. So you can use that as a cleanser and also for the bumps on the chest and the back in the shower. And that's pretty helpful.
I use the Noble Zinc soap in the shower pretty much every day. I use the argan oil version. I really like that. So I would highly recommend it to anybody that's thinks that they might have these pityrosporum bumps on their body or their face. It's a great soap.
Yeah. Also, make sure when you're looking at zinc soap bars that you're avoiding ingredients like coconut oil and cocoa butter, which can clog pores.
Yep. Keep the coconut oil in the kitchen. Don't use it on your face.
So kind of along the same lines as pityrosporum, we did get another question about exercise and asking if exercise leads to acne. So the short answer for this is no. So definitely keep exercising because it's super cool and really fun. But basically what we want to encourage is for everybody to kind of rinse off their skin after they exercise so that moisture doesn't sit on the surface of your skin, which can encourage bacteria to grow. So going into a little bit more detail with our handy dandy skin model here, right here, these are the eccrine glands and these produce sweat. And then these are the sebaceous glands and they produce oil. So as you can see, it's coming from two different places. So the issue can happen when the moisture from the eccrine gland sits on the surface of the skin and that moisture is sitting there for a long time and bacteria likes to grow in that moisture and that can go over and clog the pores. Another thing that can happen is when friction is involved on the surface of the skin. So like you're using workout equipment, you're wearing a helmet on your forehead or you're wearing a sports bra and it's rubbing on your back and that friction can lead to more breakouts. So again, what we do about that is we just encourage you to rinse off as soon as you can. So if you're not in a situation where you can jump in the shower, you can just go to the bathroom and like splash water on your face and that'll help. Some people like to use or ask if they should use cleansing wipes, and we find that that's pretty irritating, especially if your skin is sweaty.
Absolutely. I've had that same thing happen to me. I've yet to find a good cleansing wipe that I really like. That a lot of them contain irritating ingredients like alcohol, so I wouldn't recommend putting that on hot, sweaty skin. You're going to get some burning, and that's not going to feel good. So plain water, I think that would work the best.
Yep.
We got another question here from Varsha. And she asks, what skincare products benefit dry skin, sensitive skin? And I think that's a great question now that we're getting into October and the fall, winter months. I think a lot of patients are going to be having a little bit more dry skin than they normally do. So starting off with cleansers, because that's your first thing that you use in your routine, I would recommend using a hydrating or creamy lotion-based cleanser. A couple of good recommendations would be the Neutrogena creamy cleanser and the CeraVe hydrating. Those are both pretty gentle, pretty hydrating cleansers. They don't foam up a whole lot. That's what you want to avoid if you have dry skin is foaming cleansers. Those are usually liquid or gel based, and what happens with those is they tend to dry out the surface of the skin more. So if you have dry skin, that's obviously not what you want to happen. On the flip side, if you do have oily skin, if you're watching and you have oily skin, definitely pick up a foaming cleanser because that drying effect is actually what you want. And moving on to sunscreens, I would recommend sunscreen for everyone, no matter if it's fall, winter, spring, summer, and no matter what part of the country that you're in. And for sensitive and dry skin, I'd recommend physical sunscreens. Chemical sunscreens can be super irritating, and a lot of people can have allergic or irritant reactions to them. So stick with a physical sunscreen, and by that I mean zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. And a good example of one is the Neutrogena Healthy Defense, and this is actually for sensitive skin. This contains both zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, and it's an SPF 50, so it's great sun protection. And moisturizers too. So if you have dry skin, you want to moisturize. That just makes perfect sense. But a moisturizer like a Vaseline or the Elta MD, which is another great moisturizer for dry skin, they hold in the moisture that you already have in your skin. So you want to make sure too that you're drinking enough water and fluids throughout the day to keep your skin moisturized. So building off of moisturizers again, Elta MD moisturizer, Vaseline are two great heavier moisturizers. But if you want just a lighter everyday, I would recommend sticking with something that's not a gel, not anything translucent. I would stick with a creamy lotion-based moisturizer instead of the gels. Gels often contain alcohol, which can be drying to the skin. Toners, if you use toners, if you like toners, I would stick with alcohol-free as well because that's super drying. Another good one is the Thayer's alcohol-free witch hazel toner. We love that one here at Curology. So that would be a good one to try. And I think that's it for recommendations for dry skin. And it looks like we had another question come in during our broadcast. How about helping with pore size and blackheads? So that's a great question. Again, we get that a lot. And I think Fong and I touched on the pore size a little bit last week. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news again, but pore size is not something that we can change. That's genetic. And what we can do is use products to help with the appearance of pore size. So toners can help tighten the pores temporarily. Primers can help diminish the appearance of pores. But yeah, pore size unfortunately can't be changed.
Yep.
And blackheads too. So we use blackheads and clogged pores kind of interchangeably. And blackheads, you want to make sure that you're not using anything that's clogging your pores, like Emily mentioned earlier about coconut oil. And Fong mentioned causedna.com last week. So those are two great resources to make sure that nothing that you're using is clogging your pores.
Do you want to do one more?
Yeah, let's take another question.
So one more question from Emmy. Emmy's asking, how can I get rid of a zit overnight for a special event? So this may have been mentioned previously, but we really like hydrocolloid bandages. So those are used often in the medical field for wound care, but it can be helpful for breakouts, especially when it's left on overnight or possibly longer. And it works like a sponge by absorbing pus and oil from acne blemishes, so that can really shrink it down and help that heal up pretty quickly. Another thing you can do is a spot treatment. One we recommend is Acnomel. Oops, this way. And this has sulfur in it, so that you can use as a spot treatment, and also benzoyl peroxide can be used as a spot treatment also. For benzoyl peroxide, you don't need the higher concentrations of benzoyl peroxide. Above 5% isn't really necessary because it's usually just more irritating and not really more effective. So,
yeah, those are some good tips. I think also compresses are really easy to do. People can do those at home super quick. So whether it's cold compresses or hot, it helps diminish the swelling that surrounds like an acne cyst that is super painful sometimes and is not fun if you have somewhere to go the next day. So either an ice cube in a Ziploc bag or even freezing green tea can help too, or green tea bag can help with inflammation, and leaving those on for a few minutes at a time, a few times a day, can definitely help diminish the swelling. And if you can tolerate a little ibuprofen too, that can help as well with both the tenderness and the swelling of an acne cyst. So those are all great tips for how to get rid of or how to diminish it overnight. Yeah. So I think that's it for us for today, and hope you guys have an awesome day. We will see you next week. Same here, same place. Bye-bye.